We are already discussed in our previous episodes how to issue an invoice or receipt when you sell something in Denmark. But what if your company sells outside of Denmark? Today, we are delving into this topic.
Welcome to the Business Lessons in Denmark podcast. Our podcast gives the answers to your business-related questions that have not been answered yet or things that haven't even crossed your mind. My name is Adina Bosch and I am here with my colleague Katalin Balog. We are owners of Cool Account CPS, a Danish accounting office. Hi Kati, how are you today?
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that spring is finally here. The days are getting longer and longer. There is more sunshine during the day. Sometimes I have to let down the blinds in the afternoon because otherwise I can't see the computer screen.
Well, summer is almost here. Yes. Oh, yeah, not exactly, but at least we are getting there.
Yeah.
So what will be our topic today?
Well, there was an interesting question from one of our dear listeners, John Doe, and I thought that we could answer this question today with our usual thoroughness.
The famous John Doe. We are really going places now.
Well, I'm too humble to comment on that, but yes, basically.
Okay, I understand. Well, let's get to the point then. What is the listener's question?
The question reads, Dear Business Lessons in Denmark podcast, I am an American living in Denmark and I have a small company here in Denmark that is engaged in the production of ice cubes. I sell the ice cubes to restaurants, bars and pubs. Lately, I've started promoting abroad as well. And so, I received an order from a pub in Germany. My question is, how should I invoice the ice to Germany? Is there anything I have to pay attention to?
That is a good question. I would also like to know that. But I think when you sell to a country outside of Denmark, it will be important if that country is in the EU or outside of the EU.
Yes, indeed. First of all, if you sell outside of the EU, then you need an export permit. Second of all, it's also important with regard to how the VAT should be handled. That is, if you have to add VAT on the invoice or not.
John writes that he will sell the ice cubes to Germany, so he will sell within the EU. Products, services and labor flow freely within the EU, so no export permit is needed here, right?
Right.
So the question is, do you need to charge Danish VAT on the ice cubes just like when you sell them within Denmark?
Yeah, let me start a little more generally. With regard to the VAT, when selling within the EU, a distinction must be made between whether a person sells to a private person or to a business. Also, if you sell to a business, is that particular business registered for VAT in his own country, or is it not registered for VAT in his own country?
It starts to be exciting. I had the feeling that it would not be that simple. I would be interested in our possibilities, but let's stay with the case of our listener, John Doe. So he says to a German pub, which is probably registered for VAT in Germany.
Yes, probably is a good word because one cannot really be sure of this in advance. So here comes the first rule. Before you invoice your goods to that particular company operating in another EU country, you are obliged to find out if that company is registered for VAT in its own country or not.
Okay, and how can I find that out?
You ask for their tax number and you check that in a system called VIES.
VIES. Okay, some song or something.
Yes, the full name is VAT Information and Exchange System. So Yeah, this is the abbreviation of it. It is an electronic system that includes all companies operating in the EU that are registered for VAT. So if John finds the German pub in the system, he can be sure that it is registered for VAT in Germany.
Well, that's great. And why do you need to be sure of this?
Because if you sell a company within the EU that is registered for the VAT in its own country, you don't add Danish VAT on the invoice.
Oh, you don't?
No. But there is one more condition. The goods must leave Denmark, and you must be able to document this.
So I need to have some kind of documentation that the goods actually have left Denmark.
Yes.
Okay, in summary. So no VAT on the invoice. If the buyer in the other EU country is registered for VAT in his own country, and we can document that the goods left Denmark, for example, with a waybill. So John, first of all, has to check if the German pub is included in the VIES, and secondly, he must document that the ice cubes were actually sent from Denmark to Germany. If both of these are true, he must invoice the ice cubes without VAT.
Correct. But more, he must also write the EU tax number of the pub on the invoice. And he must report the sale to the Danish tax agency as EU sales.
Oh, yes, also that?
Yes. Such VAT-free sales to the EU must be reported to the Danish tax agency every month.
Well, I thought that if there was no VAT, it would make things more simple, but no, it seems.
No. The three words VAT, EU, and simple may not fit in one sentence, unfortunately, but that's life.
Yes, you're right. So, and I think we could even add the word tax to this list.
Yes. But actually, it is not so terribly complicated to report the EU sales. Many business owners can do it themselves, or if they can't, their accountant can.
Or I think we can definitely help John or anyone else who might need a little assistance.
Of course.
Great. By the way, what happens if the foreign company to whom I deliver is not registered for VAT? I ask because there may be such companies abroad as well as in Denmark, as we discussed in our sixth episode, the smallest company formed in Denmark.
Yes. If the foreign company is not registered for VAT in their own country, then you will have to add the usual VAT on your invoice. So if the German pub, against all expectations, is not registered for VAT in Germany, it will not be included in the system called VIES. So then John will have to charge the Danish VAT on the invoice.
Well, that's clear then. To be honest, I'd also be interested in how it works if it is not a company but a private person I sell in the EU. For example, if I have a web shop.
Yes, it would be good to discuss the rules for sales to private people in the EU too. But I'm not sure if we have enough time for that today.
Probably not. Let's leave this for later. So anyway, this rule about invoicing without VAT also applies the other way around, right?
Right.
I mean, if I have a business in Denmark that is subject to VAT here and I buy from an EU company, for example, if I buy the red pepper to my Hungarian restaurant directly from Hungary.
It's very good that you brought this up because, yes, it also works the other way around. So if you buy something from an EU country, let's say from Hungary, then you also have to give the supplier your tax number, which is your Danish CVR number, and you should receive a VAT-free invoice.
Okay, fine. Then I will also pay attention to this in my businesses when I buy from the EU, for example, from Hungary. Well, we have come to the end of today's show. We thank John Doe, the ice cube maker, for giving us a very good subject, and we also thank you, dear listener, for listening to us. Next week, we will come back with another topic.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe another interesting question will arrive from one of our listeners.
Yes, we will see. Anyway, see you next Monday.
Yes, see you.
Today's episode was sponsored by Coolacan CPS. Coolacan CPS can help with starting your company with bookkeeping and tax matters. In addition, we also provide business and financial consulting. If you don't want to miss useful and up-to-date information, follow us and like our Facebook page. You can contact us via our website www.accounts.cool. We wish you a successful week.